Hello, my name is Amy. If you're new here, welcome. I'm really happy to have you here. If you've been here before, welcome back. I am really grateful to have a space like this. For me, I've struggled to just become like a human that I am really proud of, and I just wasn't equipped necessarily starting out. And so the reason why I created this page is so that I can talk about the things that didn't always come so easy for me, that were kind of hard for me to navigate. I didn't just know. I had to do a lot of work, a lot of soul searching, a lot of embarrassing moments I had to live through to just kind of get to a place where like I could figure a lot of this out and just have such a better foundation and sense of self and things. And so I talk a lot about mindset, alignment, money, because these were topics that were really hard for me. How we do one thing is how we do everything. As I started learning how to apply these things to one area of my life, they really just started to affect the other areas in a good way without me having to look at every single thing. I'm just here kind of sharing what I learn, what I know, what I've experienced, in hopes that maybe you'll hear something that's really helpful for you too. Maybe you just want to share in the comments when you're watching any of my videos, things that you do know about, that you've learned about, some of your experiences. One of the things I'm going to talk about today is anxiety. Anxiety has been it's just been a huge part of my life, and I have been aware of it for about 20 years now. So I'm just going to show you how I spent the day after feeling like I've had some pretty wicked anxiety for almost a month now, how I just kind of spent a day for myself doing the things that I know are really good for me, that ground me, that help me feel connected. Hopefully just by watching this, it helps you feel a little bit more relaxed too. Just gives you maybe some insight of just like normalizing these feelings and what can just feel so hard some days. Just to give some backstory, I have had anxiety for probably since almost 20 years now that I can consciously remember. And the first time I ever even was aware of the fact that I had it, I was at a job, I was having my first panic attack. I didn't know what was going on with me. And one of my coworkers was like, "I think you have anxiety." And I was like, "What?" You know, I had heard of anxiety, but I had no idea it would show up like this. It was again, another one of those things that I just was not aware of. I was seeking and I wanted to feel better, but I hadn't figured out yet what I needed to do to really maintain feeling better and really be in a space where I was progressively growing in a way that I have in this last 10 years. Anxiety has always been a huge part of my struggle, and I believe it's also very much a sign for me of when I am not aligned with myself, when I am really allowing my mind to kind of just run the show. I have been rereading Eckhart Tolle's books. Eckhart Tolle. I have been rereading his books again. I love reading books more than once because I feel like every time I read them again, I have a completely different experience with them, and that is what is currently happening. He is just talking a lot about how we identify with our minds as if we are our minds. For me right now, I am working very hard on being in the present moment. When I get these feelings that come up, whether it is like current or from my past, but these things that don't feel good, that can really trigger some of my anxiety, or even just like repetitive thoughts, behaviors, things like that. The thing I'm just trying to do so simply is get present. How long can I just be in this present moment? I'm applying that a lot when I'm running. I don't listen to music when I run, and I'll just try to say like, from here to the tree, let me just be present. Let me notice the trees around me, the birds around me, my breath, how my body feels right now. Finding gratitude for these things. That is helping a lot. By continuing to show up to this, my intention is to find more space in between when the thoughts get loud again, and actually having more time within being present with my life, with every single moment. Because when I have anxiety, I'm not. And when I can be present, I don't feel anxiety. I don't feel any kind of suffering. I don't feel sadness or depression. And that's where being able to consciously like be the observer to all of this is so important, and allows me to actually find that space and realize that I don't have to be my thoughts. I'm not my thoughts. We are all conditioned to think that we are the thoughts. We just have this anxiety. It's just a part of us, but it doesn't have to be. This is all learned. And it's because so many people in general are just not conscious. We're not aware. For me, it has taken a long time. My anxiety is not completely gone, but wow, am I able to really help check myself and reel myself back in. I just have tools now. I have a lot of tools, and things are still going to come up. I can't control the things outside of me. So yes, I might find myself in situations and experiences that feel extremely triggering for me, but it's about what I do once I become aware that I'm starting to feel that way. Today, I have so many more tools for those moments, and that is ultimately what matters. Whatever you're doing for your anxiety, keep doing it if it's helping you. What I'm talking about today are just the simple things that I'm doing that help me to be more conscious, to help me to just kind of check in with myself each day, each moment, and do the things that I know make me feel comforted. They make me feel aligned with myself. They help me feel calm. They help me feel more present. And that is ultimately what matters for each of us, because it is our relationship to our thoughts, to what's going on in our minds, that is causing our experience with things like anxiety. I hope that if anything, this just maybe helps you feel a little bit calmer by watching this. This helps you to just be present by just being completely focused here with me for the next few minutes and allowing yourself to kind of get out of your own head. That has been so significant for me. I have learned how impactful that is for me to just say, you know what, I don't need to hold on to these thoughts right now. I can actually just put them to the side and I can come back to them. If I need to come back to them, they'll still be there. That also was like one of those aha moments where I actually was able to recognize that those thoughts, that experience has nothing to do with reality, with what is actually happening. So why spend all that time doing that? And then I realized it was that I needed to catch myself when I started to go down those places so that I could consciously say, I don't need to do this. But then also have a few tools that I, use to help myself stay present, stay more calm, and not allow those anxious thoughts to kind of take over. So I started with my regular meditation that I do right after I finish coffee, before I even get out of bed, followed by a walk with my pup. We love going for our morning walks together, but one of his favorite things to do is to just pick a spot and sit in it and decide that he's not going anywhere. He just wants to take a moment to appreciate our neighborhood, all of the nature around us, and just kind of watch. And to be honest, as much as maybe not the best opportunity to stop, he always reminds me that we do need to just slow down and be in that moment. And I just love this guy for that. When we came back, I rolled out my yoga mat, and again, my little guy here was interested in doing some yoga with me / playing and trying to just prolong me not focused on him for a little while. He started by trying to steal my slippers, bring me some of his toys, but truthfully, when he just takes that moment to give me hugs, there's really nothing better. He's just the sweetest thing, and when I am having a lot of anxiety, he really relaxes me. When he is able to just come over and give me those hugs, there's nothing better, and he is such an emotional support dog, even though he's not technically certified. I did manage to get through my yoga, and that felt amazing. I used to teach yoga, and since COVID, I've just been practicing at home by myself through YouTube videos. I cannot say enough good things about yoga and how significant it has been for me in my journey with anxiety and just really reconnecting to myself. Once I finished yoga, I used one of my facial serums that I love from Juice Beauty, and I pulled out my rose quartz roller and just took a moment to be present, to focus on my breath, and to give myself this little mini facial massage. I definitely need to be mindful of my skin these days, and I have been for a very long time, but this is one of the new ways that I'm just trying to give myself a little self-care, but at the same time use some natural approaches to wrinkles, fine lines, things like that. And also just this feels amazing. After I finished getting ready, I went to one of my favorite little towns in the area. It's about 30 minutes from my house. and went to this coffee shop. They seem to have funny hours, and I haven't made it here in the last few times I've visited. So I was really excited to go and get this honey cinnamon latte, and oh my gosh, was it so good. Seriously, really, really hit the spot. And I had been considering getting one of their specifically fall festive drinks, but opted for this instead, and it totally hit the spot. I will also mention that a huge part of my anxiety journey has been reducing caffeine significantly, and I almost always opt for a half calf or decaf. It allows me to still have my coffee that I love so much. Listen, I've given up so many things. I'm not giving up my coffee. And so this is just a happy medium for me to still be able to have it and maybe not get so jazzed from all of the caffeine. Once I finished my coffee, I went next door to one of my favorite crystal shops, just spent some time looking around. I love that they have this little festive Halloween table. Cannot say enough good things about their crystal selection. Every time I go in, they have the best. They have new crystals, some I've somehow never heard of, because I have been buying crystals now for like 15 or 20 years. Today I found a crystal called celestite, and can you believe how beautiful this is? This crystal unknowingly is amazing for anxiety and depression. Really a calming stone, and so I want to have this with me when I'm doing things like my journaling, practicing my yoga, and any kind of meditation. If you collect crystals also, please let me know in the comments some of your favorites. Once I left the crystal store, I took a little walk through the town and through their cute little park. It was actually really nice to just sit there and people watch for a little bit. There was a wedding, and there were just people with their dogs and their kids, and it's decorated a little bit for the fall, and I'm starting to see the leaves change, which feels really early this year, but also I'm loving it. I'm just gonna let myself love it, even though it makes me a little nervous about how quickly winter is gonna come around here. If you have anxiety like I do, I have learned that being hungry is such a trigger that can really make me go from being just a little bit anxious to really just not in a good place. I got some food, it was just exactly what I needed to feel a lot more grounded. I took my food to go sit outside next to this birch tree. Can you just believe the bark on this? I cannot get enough of trees in general, but birch trees in particular are my absolute favorites. I can't believe the details on them. Being around trees and nature for me is such a good opportunity to actually just slow down and be present for a moment, really just take that time to be centered and clear with my thoughts, because anxiety is my head being loud. And the thing I'm the most focused on right now is just being so conscious of my thoughts and where I'm at, being able to recognize the moment when I start to go into the anxiety. So things like this are just such a great opportunity for me to stop with the noise in my head and actually just take a few breaths and appreciate what is exactly in front of me. I am reading Eckhart Tolle's books again. The things he says of being present, just touch the thing in front of you. Listen to what's around you. What can you smell right now? It is literally that easy to recenter, and yet we all just think we're just too busy to do that. We're not actually too busy. It's just that we've gotten so conditioned in our minds to think that like we are our minds when we're not. So those moments of getting present allow me to be the observer rather than feel so identified with my mind, with my thoughts, with my worries. And something I've learned since I've been doing a lot of my work around anxiety is that I could obsess over a million different ways something could go. And none of those ways actually are what happens. Yet I spend all this time wasting all of these precious moments when I could be present with what's actually going on in my life. I just waste it worrying or being in fear, and none of it is even what happens. And once I started to realize that, I was like, okay, I need to not spend so much time on these things because I actually don't need to be in control. I actually don't need to micromanage any of this because none of it's gonna go the way I think it is anyway. Generally, it goes better than anything I would have imagined. Even when it's not good, it's still never as bad as I think anyway. That has been a really important awareness for me as well, and something that I really come back to a lot. Once I came home from this fun-filled outing, I knew it was time to do my TBM meditation. TBM is to be magnetic. These meditations are all about actually manifesting, but doing a lot of internal work. Lacy Phillips, the founder, believes that manifesting is connected more to our beliefs and our subconscious thoughts versus just our thoughts. Whatever you feel it's connected to, her meditations are so amazing. I focus on both thoughts and beliefs, and for me, ultimately, it's like what's going on in my mind, what is coming up for me, what is still deeply rooted within me that is causing these things to come up, these feelings, these triggers. And so what I love about her meditations is that you're actually going back from when a lot of these moments first started for you, and you get to rewire how you feel about them, what your thoughts are, what is current, and it has been so powerful for me. I actually think that part of the reason why I've had so much coming up over the last month is because I had been doing these on such a regular basis over like 2 months prior to that. And I have learned in personal growth that generally when I start to get really uncomfortable and kind of want to crawl out of my skin at times, it's because the real work is actually happening. I am leveling up, I'm kind of shedding this old skin, and I do think that's where I had quite a bit of anxiety in the last month. So if you are interested, I actually have a 15% off coupon. I have it linked below. If you want to try this, you can do monthly or annually, but I believe it's still only offered on a yearly basis, whether you're paying for it upfront or you're paying for it monthly. I did it in the past and I did not stick to it the same way as I've been recently. And part of that is it was just time in this last 6 months or so that I've really been doing it. And I am so grateful that I am and that I'm sticking to it, because it's just a whole other realm of kind of work I needed to do internally that I wasn't getting from any other outlet. I think all of it works and all of it helps. It just depends on what we need in a particular season. This was so nice for me to do today. It really just helped ground me and help me find peace. I have to say that after I've gone through this day, knowing that I've had a lot of anxiety lately, I am feeling so much better. And that is because I did not commit to anything except what I was feeling within each moment of my day today, and that is so important to me. I did finish my day eating a really delicious salad that I made from my garden. I watched the first Twilight movie, not for my first time. I've watched them all many times, but I love watching them in the fall. I read the books, then was so excited when the movies came out. I always have to rewatch them around this time each year. Thank you for spending today with me. I would love to hear in the comments anything that you do for your anxiety or what you're working on, and anything that you think might motivate or inspire somebody else. I think a lot of people do struggle with anxiety and on different levels, but I think it's important that we talk about it. I think it's important that we talk about all sorts of things. That's how we really share and diffuse what we're feeling, and also hear that it's normal, and just kind of normalizing things sometimes is so healing. I hope that you got something out of this today. If you did, please consider giving me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel so that you can be alerted for the next video. Any thoughts that you might have, please leave them in the comments. If there's anything else you want me to talk about on this topic or anything else I make videos on, I would love to hear from you. I will talk to you next time. Bye.